Hello, everyone, and welcome to CHY 113 for the spring 2021 semester. I am Professor Staples, and I will be your instructor for the course. I wanted to send this video out a little bit early in order to just get everyone up to speed a little bit and let everyone know how this course was going to be taking place this semester. From the outset, I will say that no, it is not ideal to be teaching chemistry in an online course. And that's just the reality of where we are, though. I think everyone at this point understands the situation that we're in. And in order to accommodate the number of people who had to take the course this semester, and keeping in mind social distancing protocols, really this was the only way that we were going to be able to offer the course to enough people who needed it. And so it is completely online this semester. Hopefully, though, I have learned a little bit over the last semester and a half and can make this journey a little bit smoother for everybody. But I did just want to recognize that we know this is not ideal. This is, for many of you, not the way that you want to learn chemistry, and it's certainly not the way that I prefer to teach it. I definitely like to be up in front of the lecture hall and doing my thing and talking to all of you rather than interacting with my camera down here in my dungeon of an office. But this is the reality of where we are, and hopefully everything will go smoothly enough and we will get through it. And so let's just talk a little bit about what remote chemistry is going to look like. First and foremost, you're really going to want to spend some time familiarizing yourself with the course website. I'll talk a little bit about the course format and what things are going to look like in a little bit. But I really wanted to introduce you first to the website for the course. And so there's a couple ways that you can get to the website. I use Brightspace for a little bit, but most of the course is actually going to be on a Google page that I've had set up and been using for a number of years now. And there's a couple ways that you can get there. One is that you can just simply use the link for the site, which I have provided in the email that I sent this video out on. So you can just go to the site and bookmark it. If you lose that, you can also just get there through your Brightspace page. Your Brightspace landing page will probably look a little bit different than this one does. This is what mine looks like as a faculty member. But if you go to our course within Brightspace, you'll see that that is one of the quote modules that I have set up is just the course website. And so if you click on the course website, then that is one of the modules that we have here. And that will bring you right to the same page. And so that's one way for you to get there. Just another note on Brightspace while we are here. Like I said, I don't use Brightspace for a lot, just because I find the Google page to be much more user-friendly for myself and for you. But I will use the Brightspace for things like syllabus links and schedule links you'll be able to find on Brightspace. I will also use Brightspace for grade reporting. So as the semester goes on, your homework grades, exam grades, discussion grades, and so forth will be posted here so that you can see them and have access to them and use that to roughly track your grade through the semester. Note that there probably won't be a lot of difference, or there shouldn't be a lot of difference between what you see on Brightspace and my official grade form. But what you do see on Brightspace is the unofficial grade, and I do keep a quote official grade spreadsheet maintained in another area. And so just something to keep in mind, but you should be able to roughly track your grade using Brightspace throughout the whole semester. I will also use Brightspace for our online discussion platform. And that's something that I will be discussing more through the course of this video. And so let's just go over to the website real quick. Actually, before I do talk about the website, I lied. Let's talk about format of the course a little bit first. So where this is an online asynchronous course, that means that there will not be times that you have to log in for lectures. There will be some times that you'll be able to choose for some problem-solving sessions. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But as far as lectures, you don't have to log in at certain times. I am going to post the lectures for the week as early as I can, as possibly can within the week. That was some feedback I had last semester, is that getting these out as early as I can would be beneficial. And so as much as I can, I'm going to try to have both lectures for the week posted up and sent out to you by Tuesday at the latest. And so those will be your lectures for the week. Similarly to if this course were meeting live, we would probably have 2 lectures per week, about an hour and 15 minutes long. And so my lectures that I post online will also be roughly that long, somewhere in the vicinity between, depending on the content, I do have a little bit more leeway since this is online, but depending on the content, those lectures that I post will be anywhere between an hour and a half long. Now that is a long time. And I understand that it is difficult to really focus and pay attention to a recorded lecture that you're watching on video for that long. So another thing that I'm going to try to do as much as I can on the lecture page on the website is give you an idea of where there might be some convenient breaks that you can take throughout the lecture. And so if you do need to get up and stretch your legs, or just get away from your screen, or come back to it even later on, watch part of the lecture and then come back 4 hours later to watch the rest, that's absolutely fine. And I will be posting what I think would be convenient times as far as breaks in the content I'm discussing. And so those lectures will be posted twice a week, and there will be homework due, online homework, every Sunday by 11:59 p.m. I'll talk more about homework in a little bit and how you access that, but there will be homework that is due every week, due every Sunday. We're going to have 3 exams in the course in addition to the final exam. Those 3 exams will have set dates, again, which I will talk more about later. And on those dates, you will have the entire day to take the test on our online platform anytime through that day that you want. And so the first one, actually, I don't remember off the top of my head, but the first exam somewhere in mid to late February. And so on whatever day that is, and all exams, including the final, are on Fridays. And so whenever that date is, the exam will be open at 12:01 a.m., pretty much at midnight, and will close again at 11:59 p.m. So pretty much midnight to midnight, you'll have available to take those exams. You will have 2 hours to take the exam from the time that you begin. And I'll be talking more about exam policies and whatnot later on in the course as we get closer to our first. But I did just want to make you aware that that's how exams will go. They will be on our online platform. Every exam will be on Fridays. Actually, we can see them here right on our Brightspace schedule. Our first exam, February 19th. I'm not sure why it says 11:49, but you'll have to take it by 11:59, or start it by 11:59 on that day. And again, we'll talk more about exam policies later. And that's the basic format for the course. All meetings, anytime you want to meet with me for office hours, those will all be via Zoom. And I'm still working out the exact format for those, but what I will likely do is send out the Zoom link ahead of time, or have you email me if you would like to meet during my office hours, and I will send you out the link to meet with me. But all office hours will be like this, will be via Zoom. And all problem-solving sessions with the LAs, which we'll talk about in a little bit, will also be via Zoom. And so speaking of my office hours, we take a quick look at the course syllabus. Again, it's something you can find right on the website. My office hours for this semester are Mondays 2 to 4, or Thursdays 10 to 12, or by appointment. If those times don't work for you for whatever reason, whatever's going on with your lives outside of chemistry, then definitely shoot me an email. I'm very open to meet with students outside of those times. We just need to schedule it ahead of time because my schedule is fairly tight. Okay, let's just maybe go through the syllabus a little bit. So as far as required materials for the course, our textbook that we use is a free online textbook available through the website OpenStax. You can access the textbook in a couple of ways. One is just right here from the syllabus. There's a link to the textbook itself, table of contents and so forth, where you'll be able to just access the entire book right there. I also have a page for the textbook right here, again, right on the website. And that's the same, it's the same book, it's just built right here into my website. And so that is free. You don't have to pay for that at all. It is a completely free online textbook. If you are a little like me and you do prefer an actual physical book, Amazon does sell a copy of this. Let's actually see. Let's look live to see, and I've got the link to the Amazon book right here. And they do have some available, looks like just to rent right now. Or the hardcovers, they have some paperback versions available to buy. And it's like hardcovers. Oh, yep, there it is. Hardcover that is available to buy new. It's a pretty decent print copy of the book. You can see, like, I've got my copy of it right here. Thick, just like you would expect a chemistry book to be. It's the exact same thing that is online. It's just a hardcover or a hard copy version of the textbook. And so again, if you're like me and you prefer that, then you can go that way. There is a free Kindle version available too. So if you don't like to read a book on your computer, then you can certainly download it right to whatever device that you may use for reading. If you have a Kindle, I do a lot of my reading on my iPad. I just download a Kindle app, and so you could certainly do that. But that is the textbook that we will be using. And so that is free. There's no cost for the textbook unless you do choose to purchase the hard copy. There is a charge for our online homework platform that we can use. I use the platform Chem 101. There are many different online homework platforms, and online homework has been used in chemistry courses, in courses in general for quite a while now. And I've seen a number of different chemistry online homework platforms, and Chem 101 I feel is the best one that I've seen. It's very user-friendly. In some of my work that I have done at other institutions or even here, I've seen a lot of frustration from students when they're working on their homework, not because they don't understand the concepts or they can't do a problem, although I mean that certainly causes frustration, but that's good frustration. That's learning how to do the work and learning the concepts. Bad frustration, however, comes from trying to do your homework and trying to figure out just how to submit it with the online platform. That I don't like, and I really feel that sort of frustration is minimized with Chem 101. There is still some frustration there, just to be upfront about that. It's not like writing it on paper and just turning it in. You are using the online platform, and there will be a little frustration as far as how you use that. But I feel that it's a lot less with Chem 101 compared to some others. And so in order to access Chem 101, again, a couple different ways, but right here from the website, if you click on the homework tab, you've got a couple of different ways to access it. And so I would go from this homework tab, you've got the website right here to go to Chem 101, and these instructions will walk you through how to create a new account if you've never used this platform, and most of you probably have not. And so you'll go through these instructions and set up your new account, and then you'll have to input this course code in order to get into our actual class. Now, Chem 101 does offer, you will be able to access the site for free until February 8th. After that, you must purchase the access to the platform. And honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember how much it costs, 30 or 40 bucks, somewhere in that range. And so in order to actually purchase the access to the app, a couple different ways for that. You can either do it directly through the site, which honestly is what I would recommend if you are able to do so, that there are just fewer hiccups that way. If, however, for your financial aid purposes or your financial situation in general, if you do have to go through eCampus, then you would just go through eCampus just like you would be buying any of your books, and you will be able to buy access to the Chem 101 app through that site as well. I would just make sure to do that well before the free trial ends, just to make sure that you're able to get on there before things do run out, before the trial runs out. And so that is the site that we will be using. That's the platform that we'll be using for all of your assessments. And so all of your homework and all of your exams and your final exam. So literally everything that you will be graded on is taking place on the Chem 101 platform. And so that is an absolute requirement of this course, is to have access and purchase your access to that platform. We'll talk more about homework policies in a little bit as we talk about grading and whatnot for the course. Other things that you will need, you'll need a scientific calculator. Where this is an online course, you'll be at your computer for a lot. You can use the calculator out on your computer if you would like. That's a little cumbersome, and I personally wouldn't recommend it just because it's a little bit more difficult to use. You could purchase any graphing calculator, any scientific calculator, as long as it has the capabilities of doing scientific notation, which we'll talk about more next week when we get to that portion of discussing things about the course. So as long as it can do scientific notation, you'll be fine. It doesn't need to be a big, expensive graphing calculator like these TIs. If you already have one of these for some of your other courses, then great. This will absolutely serve your purposes, and they're a tremendous tool. If, however, you have a more general, cheaper $10 or $20 scientific calculator, that's fine too. As long as it's called a scientific calculator, you'll be okay. Then the course website, obviously. A couple optional things which you may find that help you if math is a bit of a challenge for you and your algebra skills are a bit rusty. Then this book here, Essential Algebra for Chemistry Students, is a great tool. It will walk you through some of the general math that we will need to use in this course. This is a math-heavy course. We will be doing all sorts of math. We will be solving lots of different chemistry problems mathematically. And so if you are rusty in your skills, then this is a great tool for you. This book, Survival Guide for General Chemistry, just gives you some ideas for some tips that will help you succeed in the course. Model kits are something that are helpful, especially for a couple of the different units that we do. A model kit, so let me just grab mine here. I've got a pretty big deluxe one. Looks like this. But what a model kit will enable you to do is to look at the three-dimensional shapes of molecules. And for those of you that are maybe going on to organic chemistry later on, you're definitely going to want a decent model kit for OChem. And so if you fall into that boat, I would go ahead and purchase it now if you're able to. Then you've got it, and you can use it for some of the units that we do later on. So again, that's something that isn't required, but you may find helpful for a couple of the units that we do. These learning outcomes I will let you look at on your own. They just go over what our big goals for the course format, and the way that we are going to be doing things we already talked about. So let's just talk for a few minutes then about how you're going to be graded in the course. Pretty typical for the most part. I won't talk about these in order. We're going to have 3 exams throughout the course of the semester. And you can find actually the dates for those if you want to plan ahead. The exam info page on the website does give you all of the different exam dates. You can see, like I said, they are all on Fridays. As I said earlier, all exams will take place on Chem 101. They'll be available on those dates from 12:01 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. You will have 2 hours, 3 for the final exam, from the time that you begin to actually start to actually complete the test. Now, as per the syllabus policy, let's just come back to the syllabus for a second. And this is pretty standard. Even if we were meeting live, we would have the same policy, that there will be no makeup exams. If you miss the exam for whatever reason, if you bomb the exam, there are no makeup tests. I realize that's a little inflexible, but especially with a course of this many students, we're expecting still to have over 100 students. It's just a logistical nightmare to try to have any sort of makeup exams. And so there are no makeup exams. Those are the exam dates that I just showed. They must be taken on that day. If you miss an exam, or even if you totally bomb one completely, what I will do is, or I'll do this in general, is I will take the average of your highest 2. We're going to have 3 exams throughout the semester. I will take the average of your highest 2 and subtract 10. If that score is higher than your lowest exam, it will replace it. And so, for instance, 3 tests. If you score an 85 on 2 of those and a 50 on the third, that the average of your highest 2 is 85, minus 10 is 75, and so that 75 would replace the 50. And so that would be the same if you missed an exam completely for whatever reason. And life does come up. I understand that. And so something comes up that you've got a family emergency, that you have to miss an exam. I do get that. And so in those cases, it's the same policy. If you miss it, then, so if you have 85, 85, and a 0, then that 75 would replace the 0. And so that will be the general exam policy that we use throughout the semester. And so those 3 exams on those dates, the exams in general, total will count for 45% of your grade. Almost half of your grade is going to come from those 3 unit exams. Final exam, and again, you can see the dates. That's on the Friday during finals week. Bring up just another page so we can have another page going on with the syllabus at the same time. And so the final exam, there we go, Friday, May 7th. Same policy. You're going to have the entire day to take it. You'll have 3 hours for the final. Final exams are at 20% of your grade, and that is going to be comprehensive. The final exam will cover the whole entire course. As we work our way up, homework is going to be 25% of your grade. As I mentioned earlier, homework is due every Sunday. Few different places that you can see your homework due dates. One of those will be right in the Chem 101 app. If we look, for instance, let me just go back and I'll open up last semester perhaps. View it as a student so you get a little bit more of your view. And so you'll see all of the homework dates and due dates right on the Chem 101 app. And so, for instance, homework 1 in the fall semester was due Sunday, September 6th. And so that's one area where you can see them. And for instance, for our semester, your first homework assignment is due the first Sunday we start. It's going to be due Sunday, January 31st at 11:59 p.m. You can also see homework due dates right from Brightspace. I've uploaded them all into there, and so you can see homework 1 due January 31st by 11:59. Finally, last but not least, we'll talk a little bit more about the schedule that's posted here later on, but you can also see homework due dates right on the course schedule. And so our first week of classes right here, the week of January 25th, homework 1, due Sunday, January 31st by 11:59. So there are lots of places where you can see where homework is due, when homework is due. And so it's due pretty much every Sunday. There are a couple exceptions to that around exam times and whatnot, so keep an eye on those dates. Homework, again, worth 25% of your grade, all on Chem 101. And I know this is where things are a little bit inflexible, but I'm not going to grant extensions to deadlines. I'm not going to allow you to complete the homework 2 days after the due date and so forth. The due dates are the due dates. Plan ahead, plan accordingly. Some of these are fairly long, and this depends on just maybe how quick you are at homework. Some people are quicker than others. But some of these assignments are going to take you 3-4 hours outside of watching lectures. They're going to take you a while to complete. They are difficult. Chemistry is hard. It's another thing that I'll be touching more on later. But this is a hard class. Homework is going to be difficult. It's going to take you a long time to complete it. And so plan ahead. If the homework's due Sunday at midnight and you're waiting until Sunday at 7 p.m. to start it, then you might be out of luck. And so this includes computer malfunction. If you email me Monday morning and say, Professor Staples, I went to do my homework last night and my computer had issues, I couldn't get on, then I'm sorry, but you're probably going to be out of luck. And so again, just plan ahead, plan accordingly, start the homework early. That's part of the reason that I'm posting homework or posting the lectures as soon as I can to start the week off. So you'll have the information and have the time and be able to start in on things. With that in mind, though, again, I know that life happens, things come up. I will drop the lowest 2 homework grades. If you have something come up some week and you just can't get to it, or you can get to very little and you get a 20 on one of the homework assignments, you will be okay. The lowest 2 homework grades are going to be dropped. And lastly, the last 10% of your grade is going to be a discussion and participation grade. Now, you might be asking, okay, well, how are we going to do that in an online course? Great question. And we'll talk about that. But one of the things that I really felt was missing last semester was any sense of community amongst the students in the class, and any sense, and really a relationship between students and myself as the instructor. In a live course, if this were a regular semester, you'd be coming into the lecture hall twice a week, listening to me talk and really and going over the material. And even if you don't interact with your fellow students at all outside of that lecture, outside of coming to the class, even if you don't talk to them at all outside of that, there's still a value in that shared experience of coming together twice a week and being able to sit there, and even if it's commiserating with the person next to you and saying, oh my God, this stuff is so hard. I can't believe I have to listen to this guy again for another hour or so. This sucks. I hate it. There's value in that. There's value in complaining together. And we miss out on that in the online course. And so I'm going to try to bring some of that back by having this required discussion. And so that will happen. That is the other thing that is happening on Brightspace. So under assessments, if you go to discussions, I will keep this updated, but this is where I want you guys to interact with each other. And so if you have questions, and so when we get into this first unit, looking at essential ideas of chemistry, this is some of the stuff that we're going to talk about right off first thing next week. Looking at this, a little bit of the scientific method, talking about matter and how we categorize it, talking about chemical and physical properties. If you have questions about that, post those questions here. That's how we get some of the discussion going. In fact, when it comes to content related things, I don't want you emailing me questions. It's not that I don't like answering email. I do. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing, is that interaction. But if you have a question, I guarantee another student in the class has the same question. And so post them here on this Brightspace platform, on these Brightspace discussions. That way we're doing a couple things. One, it gives your classmates an opportunity to answer the question, which is one of the things that I want, engaging in some of that discussion on here. Two, for the other people that have the same question, it gives them a way to actually see the answer as well. I will obviously be monitoring this to make sure that the people are providing correct answers, and I'll correct anything that I see is wrong. But this is one of the ways that we are going to get some discussion going in the course. There's also just, I'm going to keep some tabs open for things like chemistry in the news. Do you see something really cool that's happening that's chemistry related, or even just sort of science related in general? Throw it here. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. Got a great chemistry joke and meme that you think maybe even I haven't seen before? Throw it on here. Throw something funny on here. Make us laugh. But so generally, we're going to just use this platform to try to engage each other as a community, to try to engage each other as a CHY 113 class, chat with each other a little bit. And so 10% of your grade, or sorry, half of your discussion, sorry, back up even more. 10% of your course grade is from this discussion grade, discussion and participation. Half of your discussion grade will be based on these Brightspace platforms. And so what I will be doing, or the expectation, is that, and I think I have this posted down here. So you are expected to participate in a minimum of 6 discussions per unit. So again, 3 units in the course, and you can see sort of the units breakdown. That one's already up on the schedule. So the first unit will end on February 19th when we have an exam. And so somewhere between when the course starts in January, course starts next week, and February 19th, I will expect you to have engaged in discussions on Brightspace at least 6 times. Whether that means you started a thread, so that would count. You have a question about, hey, is this a chemical or physical property? I'm a little confused there. If you're answering a question, if you're posting something, some cool chemistry news or jokes and memes, or some discussing in here, that's what I'm looking for. So for you to engage, for everyone to engage at least 6 times per unit. And I will be monitoring this. And this is a little bit new to me, so it's going to take a little bit of back and forth until we're all familiar with what's going on. But I'm looking for you to engage in some sort of meaningful way. Now that means just writing thanks or cool, I appreciate that. Yes, that I'm glad that people are being polite and discussing like that, but that's probably not going to count as one of your engagements that I'm looking for, so to speak. And so I really can't say much more about it now because honestly, until we get going, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. It's the first time that I will have monitored discussions like this in an online platform as part of a grade in the chemistry course. So for now, that's really all I can say, is that I'm looking for you to meaningfully engage with this platform. Now that's half of your participation grade. For the other half, let's talk about learning assistants. And so this course has incorporated the learning assistant model. If you've never been in a course that has used LAs before, learning assistants, or LAs, are USM students who have previously taken this course and been successful. In a quote normal semester, what they would do is they would be in the class with us during lecture, and then there would be a problem-solving portion of the class. In courses that have adopted the LA model, they've done that in a couple different ways. I know Dr. Ford has usually just extended his classes, made his classes a little bit longer. Instead of an hour, what are they normally, an hour and 15 minutes, he's made his an hour and a half. He's made the courses a little longer to allow for some of these problem sessions. Dr. Benedict has added a third day. And so her classes typically are like, for instance, if she met Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour and 15 minutes for the normal lecture, she would have another 50-minute session as part of the required portion of the class on Fridays, which was the LA portion. And during whatever format that a professor uses, during that LA portion, students, all of you would work in small groups on some various problems, and the LAs would facilitate that work. They would, each LA would work with maybe a couple groups, bouncing back and forth a little bit, and helping you out, facilitating your work on those problems. Now, the LA model in general has been proven to be effective. And so having these problem sessions and having fellow students lead them has proven to lead to more success in a class like this. And so I've decided to adopt it for our course. The problem, of course, is how do we do that, and how do we recreate that sort of environment in an online course? And so what we have decided to do, we have a great LA team. I'm going to start meeting with them actually just in a couple days. And what we are going to do, what the LAs are going to do, is put out a poll early in the semester of what good times are that will work for all of you. And they will each offer, we're not sure at this point exactly how many, but I'm hoping that right now we have 3 LAs, we might get a 4th, but I'm hoping they will all offer 2 hour-long problem sessions per week. So there should be a minimum of 6 sessions available to you at various times. Some of them will be evenings, some of them will even be weekends. So there will be a minimum of 6, maybe more, options for you every week. You will be expected to attend at least one of those sessions. And the actual format of those sessions might vary a little bit. Sometimes they might come with some problem solving, or come with some problems for you to work on. They will probably, and again, this is some of the things that we're still working out and figuring out, but they might set up little breakout rooms. So if there are 30 of you that show up to a problem session, they might set up 5 or 6 little breakout rooms where 5 or 6 of you then work on these together in your various rooms, and they'll bounce around to the rooms and help you out. Some of the sessions, especially early on, might be just sort of a discussion about study habits and how you do things to succeed in the course. But the point is that at least once a week, you will find one of these times that works for you. And with as many times as we're going to have available, there will be a time that works for you. And so you will go to one of these sessions, and the expectation is that you will have your camera on and be an active participant in that session. And the LAs will then log whoever is there and whoever meets the criteria, and they'll give me a list of that probably at the end of the unit in order for me to count that for your grade. And so that will be half of your participation grade is attending these sessions. Now, I just want to be real clear though about the importance of these. Like I said, I'm designing the whole course really around this learning assistant model because it has been proven to work. This isn't just something that I'm throwing on here to give you extra stuff to do because I feel like making your lives miserable, making you go to more things. I'm designing this whole course around the LA model because it's proven to lead to more success in this class, because it is a hard class. And things like this, like the LA model, will definitely help you. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on, but that's the basics of how the LA model is going to work. And so that's how you're going to be graded for the course. Let's take just a few minutes and look at the course schedule. So again, this is something that you can find right on the website, and you'll be able to see what we're covering every week. And so, for instance, after I'm done with this video, I'll post right here. You'll see course introduction will be one of the lectures for next week. But these are the topics we're going to cover next week. We're going to look at essential ideas in chemistry. We're going to look at tools of quantitative chemistry. This provides for you here the reading that you should do, and you should do that ideally ahead of time. Before you watch the lectures, I would do the reading. And I'll talk more about some of these strategies a little bit later on as well. But this shows you the reading that you should be doing that goes along with the topics we're going to cover. Lectures I will post here, and so as I finish these lectures and have these available for you early on next week, then they will be posted and available here. I'm also going to post lectures just on the lectures page, nothing here yet, but I will post them here, so we'll have just a repository for all the lectures in one spot as well. But when we come back to the schedule, so this also leads us to looking into just sort of the ways that the website is set up. You'll see that, for instance, let's just even come down a little bit here. So the second week of the course, one of our topics is looking at atoms and molecules and ions, and sort of atomic structure. If you click on this, this brings you right to the atoms, molecules, and ions objectives page for that unit. And you'll also find that right under here. So if we look at the navigation on the side here under Unit 1, one of our topics that we cover in Unit 1 is atoms, molecules, and ions. And so you've got a link to that right from the schedule to bring you here. And this also just shows you everything that we will be talking about and everything that we will be doing associated with that unit. And so we have our objectives here. And so in Unit 1, let's come out actually to the Unit 1 page. So again, one of our objectives in Unit 1 is looking at atoms, molecules, and ions. So these are our various objectives associated with that portion of the unit. And so these are the various objectives. So under Objective 1, discussing the history of the study of atomic structure, these are the tasks that you should do. And so these are the things that you should do in order to learn that material. And so, for instance, again, we come back here and we see that for February 1st, or for early in the week, I'm hitting, or for this week in general, I'm hitting objectives 1 through 3 and 4 and 5. So I'm going through all objectives 1 through 5 of that particular section. And so all 3 of these objectives, these are our objectives for the second week of the course. And this just tells you what you should do in order to master those objectives. Here's the section to read. The link brings you right to that section of the textbook. Here are the things that you should do. In addition to watching the live lectures, I also have supplemental videos that I have made that will help you understand some of the material. So another thing you should do to help you master this material, that you can do to help you master this material, is watch this supplemental video on atomic structure. And this will bring you right there. And so these pages just give you an idea for the tasks that you should do in order to master every objective. Now, again, we'll talk more about some study habits later on, and that's one of the things that the LAs are going to talk to you about is what they've done to be successful in the course. So you don't have to necessarily do all of these tasks. Some of you might find that you don't have to do all of these tasks. Some of you will find that you really do. The other thing that you can find in all of the unit pages from the website, if you click down here, for instance, in the Unit 1 materials, you'll find, for instance, links to all of the various lecture slides. These are the lecture slides that I use as the basis for the recorded lectures that I'll be sending out. So you have access, in addition to them in the recording, you have access to just the individual slides here as well. Any of the supplemental videos that were linked on the previous page, we have links to all of those right here. And so, for instance, when you're going through some of this material, if you're finding that you really don't understand significant figures that well, then you would come here and watch the supplemental video on significant figures. Any informational handouts that you might find helpful, for instance, when we talk about naming of chemical compounds, here's a flow chart that I'll use and talk about, which might help you with learning how to name various chemical compounds. So anything like that you'll find here. You'll also find just extra practice problems with keys. These are nothing that are going to be collected, nothing that you, quote, have to do. Some of these the LAs might use as a basis for their problem-solving sessions. Some of them they might not use. They'll let you know ahead of time. But if you're just looking for extra help, this is where to get it. If you're just not understanding how to do isotope percent abundance, then boom, right here. Here's a bunch of practice for you. Some of these are worksheets that I've developed. Some of them are just various internet tools that I've found that I've been able to link you to. But all of these have keys in some form. And so you'll be able to check your work and check what you're doing as you go. And so these are a tremendous resource for you. I would highly recommend that you work on these extra practice problems before you even do some of the graded homework. It's just a great tool and a resource for you. And so that's one of the other ways that the website is set up, with all of the various units that we will be covering. And so what else? So that's a lot of the website and the resources. I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about metacognition. I won't spend actually much time talking about it, but I would definitely recommend that you check this page out. Metacognition is simply the practice of thinking about one's thinking, really, or thinking about it in terms of learning. It refers to the processes that we use in order to learn and to assess our understanding. And so look through this page, look a little bit about and read a little bit about metacognition. I also highly recommend that you watch this video here, Sandra McGuire's video. It has a great video on metacognition and how to study and how to work for chemistry, which will be a tremendous asset for you. For some people, it's the best 45 minutes they spend all semester long. It's just a great video to watch. And so, starting to wrap things up a little bit, the other thing that I would look at if I were you maybe before the semester begins is this 113 prep page. We just have links to things like the textbook, and so you can check the textbook out there. This is a great math skills review that Dr. Benedict put together. Gives you the opportunity to see how solid your foundation is in some of the math skills that we will be using. It's another thing that I would recommend for you, especially some of you who are currently enrolled in Math 108. This will give you an idea of some of the things that will be expected of you and expected to be able to do in order to complete our objectives, because this is, like I said, a fairly math-heavy course. The other great thing on this 113 prep page is the study skills page. As I've alluded to a number of times, this is a hard class. In order to be successful in a course like college chemistry, you have to be willing to put in a lot of time outside of class. Even if the class is live or if the class is online, doesn't matter how it's delivered. You just simply must be willing to spend a lot of time. And so this page walks you through some of the various things that will help you succeed, bring you, for instance, to that metacognition page. Here's Dr. McGuire's video that I talked about right here. This would be a great asset and great video to watch. Another one lecture here given by Dr. Lobdell. The title says it all: study less, study smart. Gives you some great tips to how to study efficiently. And then some basic study tips here that I think will help you out, that we've compiled as a chemistry department through the years, which should help you out as you are looking at how to succeed in this course. And so that's all for today. I think that's quite a bit to digest, and really looking at how the course is going to be run this semester. Unfortunately, none of my special guests made an appearance, but occasionally when I'm delivering lectures, actually, it's not quite it for today. Let's just talk about what lectures look like just a little bit. So in a typical lecture, I'm going to have the PowerPoint up here and available. And so you'll see this screen, and I'll be going through the various slides and talking about them. So you'll see me side by side with the slides. I will also occasionally bring up a whiteboard, depending on, if I'm doing some example problems. Then we might possibly doing a density problem. And so we would put in some density information, something like that. So I would work problems out for you using this whiteboard, or use some of my intensive artistic skills. But this is generally what lectures will be me on the video there, and going back and forth between my slides or the whiteboard, depending on what I'm doing. I've got the periodic table behind me, which I will be referencing quite often. So that's the basic form, basically what lectures will look like, a lot like what it looked like today that I went through. And so the biggest things that you can be doing before the class starts up for real next week, really go through the website, familiarize yourself with all of the tools here. I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years developing this website. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back, but rather just to let you know that the reason that I do it is because it really is a tremendous resource for you. Look at all the tools that you have here. There are lots of things available here that will help you be successful in this class. The other big thing, like I said, in order to get yourself ready, go through the things on this prep page, and see if that will help you out. The other biggest piece of advice that I can give you as far as being successful in our course: communicate with me, send me emails, let me know how things are going, and just in general, talk to me, communicate with me. Again, since this is a remote course, we don't have the option of you chatting with me after class for a few minutes. And so send me an email, even if you want to meet for just 5-10 minutes and chat about something, just be communicating with me. It does bring me actually to my very last point. Sorry about this. But right on the front page of the course intro, and I just happen to think of it, you saying communicating. I posted a link to this website here, a guide to communicating with professors. This is something that I would just recommend a lot of you take a peek through. Especially those of you who are more traditional students, just a year or so out of high school. The way that you tend to communicate with each other is different from how you should be communicating with professors and with other professionals. And so just take a quick look through this, not only just for how you communicate with me, but how you communicate with everyone else in the university community. It just gives you an idea for how to address your instructors, what title to use. I prefer Professor Staples. That is how I would like to be addressed in general. Office hours, a little bit different since we're online, but things to do and don't with office hours, and how to email. Things like you should be including in your subject line CHY 113 so that I know what you're looking for, and just being professional in your communications. So just take a quick look through this. And so there we have it. And so in the next week or so before the course starts up, familiarize yourself with everything. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. But in general, just get ready, because next week it's going to start for real. And so enjoy the rest of your break. Enjoy what remains, and we will hit the ground running next week. See you later, everybody.